Stop everything and take a close look at your old Kennedy half dollars, because some of these coins hiding in drawers, jars, or forgotten collections could be worth far more than you ever imagined. From rare mint marks to unusual errors, circulated coins to uncirculated treasures, each half dollar carries decades of history, and in some cases life-changing value. What looks like everyday pocket change could actually be a collector's dream, and today we're uncovering the secrets behind the most exciting Kennedy half dollars you could ever find. First up is a coin that brings together American history, patriotism, and serious collector interest, the 1776 to 1976 Kennedy half dollar with a D mint mark in uncirculated condition. At first glance, it looks like a familiar half dollar, but this special date tells a powerful story. It was created to honor the 200th anniversary of the United States, and millions of Americans remember seeing these coins for the first time during the nation's Bicentennial celebration. The Kennedy half dollar was first introduced in 1964 to honor President John F. Kennedy after his tragic assassination. By the mid-1970s, the coin had already become one of the most recognized pieces of U.S. currency. When the Bicentennial approached, the U.S. Mint decided to give three coins a one-time special design: the quarter, half dollar, and dollar. Instead of the usual single date, these coins were marked 1776 to 1976 to celebrate 200 years of independence. The Denver Mint produced a large number of Bicentennial Kennedy half dollars, all carrying the D Mint mark. While many were struck for circulation, others were carefully made and saved in uncirculated condition. Finding one today that still looks fresh, bright, and untouched by circulation is what excites collectors. On the front of the coin, you see the familiar portrait of John F. Kennedy, facing left, with the word Liberty above and the date 1776 to 1976 below. The phrase "In God We Trust" appears along the lower edge. The details on an uncirculated example are sharp and bold, especially in Kennedy's hair, face, and lettering. The reverse design is where this coin truly stands out. Instead of the usual presidential seal, the Bicentennial half dollar features Independence Hall in Philadelphia, the birthplace of American democracy. The building is shown in strong detail, with clean lines and balanced lettering. When the coin is uncirculated, the surfaces still shine with original mint luster, giving the design a powerful visual impact. Condition plays a huge role in value. Most Bicentennial half dollars were spent, stacked, or stored loosely, which caused marks and dulling over time. An uncirculated example shows no wear on the high points and often has a smooth, glossy surface. These coins are far scarcer than many people realize, especially ones that have never been cleaned or mishandled. While circulated Bicentennial Kennedy halves are usually worth only a small premium, uncirculated D mint mark examples can bring much stronger prices. Nice uncirculated pieces often sell for $1,800 to $2,500 depending on eye appeal. Higher grade examples certified by professional grading services have sold for $5,000 to $8,000 or more. In exceptional cases, top-graded coins with flawless surfaces and strong luster have reached over $10,000 at major auctions. Collectors love this coin because it combines history with beauty. It represents both the legacy of President Kennedy and the celebration of America's independence. That double significance makes it more than just a half dollar. It becomes a symbol of national pride. Another reason demand stays strong is nostalgia. Many people remember the Bicentennial year clearly. Owning a pristine coin from that time feels like holding a small piece of that celebration in your hand. This coin also serves as an important reminder. Not every valuable coin is rare because of an error. Sometimes value comes from condition, originality, and historical meaning. A simple uncirculated coin, preserved for decades, can become a powerful collector piece. So if you have old half dollars tucked away in drawers, albums, or boxes, take a closer look. Find the date 1776 to 1976 and look for the D mint mark. If the coin still shines and shows no wear, you may be holding a valuable piece of American history. What looks like an ordinary half dollar could actually be a hidden treasure, waiting to turn a simple discovery into an exciting collector moment. Next up is a coin that many people have seen, spent, and forgotten, yet it holds a special place in American numismatic history, the 1967 Kennedy half dollar with no mint mark, found today in old, worn condition. At first glance, this coin may look like nothing more than a tired piece of pocket change. But behind that worn surface is a powerful story, and in the right circumstances, serious collector value. The Kennedy half dollar was first introduced in 1964, only months after the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. The coin quickly became a symbol of national mourning and respect. Americans saved millions of these coins, and demand was so high that the U.S. Mint struggled to keep up. Because of this overwhelming demand, special steps were taken in the following years to increase production. From 1965 through 1967, the U.S. Mint removed mint marks from all coins. This was done to discourage collectors from hoarding specific mint issues and to push more coins into everyday circulation. So when you see a 1967 Kennedy half-dollar without a mint mark, that is completely correct. These coins were struck at multiple mints, but none were identified with a letter. Another important detail about the 1967 half-dollar is its silver content. Unlike modern half-dollars made mostly of copper and nickel, the 1967 Kennedy half-dollar contains 40% silver. That means every coin has real precious metal value built into it, even before collector interest is considered. Today, even a heavily worn 1967 Kennedy half-dollar is worth far more than 50 cents. Based on silver prices alone, these coins commonly sell for $400 to $1,000 each. But silver value is only the beginning. Collector demand can push prices much higher, especially for coins with strong eye appeal, original surfaces, or unusual characteristics. Some 1967 Kennedy half-dollars show rare minting errors. These include doubled letters, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, and die cracks. Coins with verified errors can sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars, depending on how dramatic the mistake is. A strong doubled die example from 1967 has sold for over $3,000 at auction. Off-center strikes with visible dates have reached $2,000 or more. Condition also plays a major role in value. While this example is described as old and worn, many collectors still actively seek circulated silver Kennedy halves because of their history and silver content. But if a 1967 Kennedy half-dollar happens to survive in high uncirculated condition, values rise sharply. Certified high-grade examples have sold for $5,000 to over $15,000, especially when they show blazing luster and clean surfaces. What makes this coin even more fascinating is how many are still hiding in old collections, drawers, and inherited boxes. During the 1960s, people saved Kennedy half-dollars as keepsakes. Some were spent later, some were forgotten, and others were passed down through families. That means valuable examples still surface today. The front of the coin shows a strong portrait of President Kennedy facing left with liberty above and in God we trust below. On well-struck coins, the hair details and facial features are sharp and well-defined. The reverse shows the presidential seal with an eagle holding arrows and an olive branch, surrounded by stars and bold lettering. Even on worn examples, this design remains powerful and recognizable. Collectors are drawn to the 1967 Kennedy half-dollar because it represents a turning point in U.S. coinage. It was one of the last circulating half-dollars to contain a significant amount of silver. It also comes from a time when emotions ran high and Americans wanted to hold on to something that honored a beloved president. There is also strong long-term potential for these coins. As silver prices rise and more collectors enter the hobby, demand for silver Kennedy half-dollars continues to grow. Many experts believe that top-quality 1967 examples will continue setting new price records in the years ahead. So if you find a 1967 Kennedy half-dollar without a mint mark, even in old condition, don't dismiss it. At minimum, it is worth many times its face value. And in the right condition or with the right error, it could be worth thousands or even tens of thousands of dollars. What looks like a worn old coin could actually be a valuable piece of American history, quietly waiting to be recognized. Next up is a coin that many Americans remember using, saving, or seeing in their change, yet few people truly understand how important it has become to collectors today. We are talking about the 1973 Kennedy half-dollar with no mint mark, found in fine uncirculated condition. At first glance it looks simple. A familiar face. A familiar design. A half-dollar just like so many others. But this coin holds a special place in modern American coin history, and in the right condition, it can be worth far more than most people ever expect. To understand why this coin matters, we need to step back in time. The Kennedy half-dollar was first introduced in 1964, only months after the tragic assassination of President John F. Kennedy. The nation was in mourning, and Americans wanted a lasting way to honor a leader they loved. The U.S. Mint moved quickly, replacing the Franklin half-dollar with the Kennedy design. From the very beginning, people saved these coins. Many never spent them at all. By 1973, the Kennedy half-dollar had already been in circulation for nearly a decade. But the coin had gone through big changes. Early Kennedy halves were made with high silver content. Later issues had less silver, and by 1971 regular circulating Kennedy half-dollars were made with a copper-nickel composition instead of silver. That makes the 1973 Kennedy half-dollar part of an important transition period. These coins were not silver, but they were still produced in large numbers and used in everyday commerce. At the same time, half-dollars were slowly disappearing from daily use. People were spending fewer half-dollars and using more quarters and dollar bills instead. Because of this, many 1973 halves ended up sitting in bank vaults, rolls, and storage rather than circulating heavily. Now let's talk about the mint mark. The 1973 Kennedy half-dollar with no mint mark was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. Philadelphia coins traditionally carry no letter beneath Kennedy's neck. Coins with a D mint mark were made in Denver, and coins with an S mint mark were usually struck in San Francisco for proof sets. So when you find a 1973 Kennedy half-dollar with no mint mark, you know it came from Philadelphia? Millions of these coins were produced. That fact alone makes many people assume the coin is common and worth only face value. But that assumption is where most people go wrong. Here is the key point. Most 1973 Kennedy half-dollars were used, stacked, dumped into bags, rolled by machines, and tossed into vaults. They were handled roughly. They bumped into other coins. They picked up marks, scratches, and dull surfaces. Over time, truly clean and untouched examples became far scarcer than people realize. This is why condition matters so much. A fine uncirculated 1973 Kennedy half-dollar means the coin shows no wear from circulation. It may have a few tiny contact marks from storage, but the high points of the design are fully intact. The surfaces still show original mint luster. When light hits the coin, it reflects in a smooth, flowing way. This kind of eye appeal is what collectors chase. On the front of the coin you see President John F. Kennedy facing left. Above his head is the word Liberty. Along the lower edge are the words "I in God we trust." In uncirculated condition, Kennedy's hair shows fine strands. His cheek and jawline are smooth and rounded, not flat or dull. The lettering is bold and sharp. On the back of the coin you see the presidential seal. An eagle spreads its wings wide. In its talons are arrows and an olive branch, symbolizing strength and peace. A ring of stars surrounds the eagle. Above it reads United States of America. Below it reads half-dollar. In fine uncirculated condition, the feathers are crisp, and the fields around the design are clean and shiny. Now let's talk about value. A heavily worn 1973 Kennedy half-dollar might only be worth face value. But a fine uncirculated example is a very different story. Nice uncirculated 1973 Kennedy half-dollars commonly sell for $200 to $600 depending on eye appeal. Better quality uncirculated coins, with strong luster and few marks, often sell for $850 to $1,500. High-grade examples certified by major grading services have sold for $2,000 to over $3,000. Top population coins, the very best-known examples, have brought prices as high as $10,000 to $18,000 at major auctions. Those are real numbers and they surprise many people. Why would a modern half-dollar be worth that much? Because true perfection is rare. Out of millions struck, only a tiny fraction survive today in top-grade uncirculated condition. Most coins picked up small flaws almost immediately after leaving the mint. Coins that avoided damage for 50 years are exceptional. Collectors compete fiercely for the best examples. There is another layer of value as well. Some 1973 Kennedy half-dollars show mint errors. These include doubled dies, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, and die cracks. A 1973 half-dollar with a strong doubled die can sell for $1,000 to $5,000 or more. Dramatic off-center strikes with visible date can bring $1,500 to $4,000. If a fine uncirculated coin also has an error, the value can rise even higher. There is also historical value. The Kennedy half-dollar represents a powerful moment in American history. It honors a president whose life was cut short and whose legacy still shapes the nation. For many older Americans, the Kennedy years bring back strong memories. Holding this coin can feel personal. It is also part of the story of changing money. Half-dollars were once common in daily life. Today they are rarely seen. That alone gives modern Kennedy halves a nostalgic appeal. Another reason collectors like the 1973 issue is that it comes from a time before large-scale modern collecting took off. In later decades, people began saving rolls of new coins as investments. In 1973, most people did not do that. They spent them. That means far fewer high-grade survivors exist than you might expect. This creates opportunity. Many fine uncirculated 1973 Kennedy half-dollars are still hiding in old bank rolls, estate collections, safety deposit boxes, coin jars, inherited albums. People often overlook them because they assume modern coins are worthless. That mistake has cost many people thousands of dollars. If you have 1973 Kennedy half dollars, here is what to do. Hold the coin by the edges. Tilt it under a light. Look for strong shine. Check for wear on Kennedy's cheek and hair. If the coin still looks fresh and bright, you may have something special. Do not clean it. Cleaning destroys value. If you believe your coin is uncirculated, consider professional grading. A certified grade can dramatically increase its market value. The 1973 Kennedy half dollar with no mint mark in fine uncirculated condition is a perfect example of how ordinary-looking coins can become extraordinary. It reminds us that history is not always locked away in museums. Sometimes history is sitting quietly in a drawer. Sometimes it is hiding in a roll of coins. And sometimes it is resting in your hand. A simple half dollar saved long ago could be worth hundreds, thousands, or even tens of thousands of dollars today. That is the magic of coin collecting. And that is why the next time you see a 1973 Kennedy half dollar, you should look twice. Because hidden treasure does not always sparkle. Sometimes it whispers. Next up is the 1971 Kennedy half dollar with a D mint mark in fine condition. A coin that quietly represents a major turning point in American coin history and has become far more desirable than most people realize. At first glance, it looks like a normal half dollar that many Americans remember using in everyday life, but its true importance runs much deeper. This coin comes from the very first year that regular circulating Kennedy half dollars were struck without any silver content. Earlier Kennedy halves contained silver, and for many families, those older coins were saved and passed down as keepsakes. By 1971, rising silver prices forced the U.S. Mint to move fully to a copper-nickel composition, and this change marked the end of an era. Because of that shift, the 1971 Kennedy half dollar became a symbol of a major transformation in U.S. coinage. The Kennedy half dollar itself was first introduced in 1964 shortly after the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. The nation wanted a lasting tribute to a leader who had inspired millions. From the very beginning, people began saving these coins not just as money but as memorial pieces. Even years later, the design still carried strong emotional meaning. When the 1971 issue was released, the Kennedy half dollar was already one of the most recognized coins in America, and its familiar look made it instantly accepted into circulation. The example we are discussing carries a D mint mark, showing that it was struck at the Denver Mint. Denver produced large quantities of half dollars in 1971 to meet national demand. While millions were made, most entered heavy circulation and were used for many years. Over time, this daily handling caused scratches, wear, and surface damage. Finding a 1971 D Kennedy half dollar today in fine condition means the coin still shows clear detail, moderate wear, and strong overall eye appeal. Kennedy's portrait remains sharp, the lettering is bold, and the major design elements are easy to see. On the front of the coin is the famous left-facing portrait of President Kennedy, with liberty above his head and in God we trust along the lower portion. In fine condition, Kennedy's hairlines, jawline, and facial features are still well defined. On the reverse is the presidential seal, featuring an eagle with spread wings holding arrows and an olive branch, surrounded by stars and the words United States of America and half dollar. In fine condition, the eagle's shape is strong, and most details remain visible. While a standard 1971 D Kennedy half dollar in fine condition often sells for a few dollars above face value, certain examples have shocked collectors with extremely high prices. Coins that display rare minting errors, unusual die varieties, or striking anomalies can reach extraordinary levels at auction. Some 1971 Kennedy half dollars with strong doubled dies, dramatic off-center strikes, or major mint mark abnormalities have sold for tens of thousands of dollars. In exceptional cases where the error is bold, clearly documented, and certified by a major grading service, prices have reached well over $10,000. There are even recorded auction results where highly unique 1971 Kennedy half dollar errors crossed the $20,000 mark when intense bidding occurred between advanced collectors. These coins are considered once-in-a-generation discoveries, and when one appears, competition can be fierce. The possibility that an ordinary-looking half dollar could be worth more than a luxury car or even a house is what keeps collectors searching through rolls and collections to this day. Another factor that can push values much higher is condition combined with rarity. While this example is described as fine condition, coins that survive in extremely well-preserved states, such as mint state or proof-like condition, can command enormous premiums. A high-grade 1971 D Kennedy half-dollar with a rare error has the potential to sell for anywhere from $22,000 to over $30,000 depending on the severity of the error and market demand at the time of sale. Collectors also place great importance on professional authentication. Coins certified by respected grading services carry more trust in the marketplace, which often leads to higher auction results. Provenance, or the documented history of a coin, can also add to its value, especially if it has appeared in famous collections or major auctions in the past. Beyond the money, collectors are drawn to the 1971 Kennedy half-dollar because it represents a key moment in U.S. history. It marks the end of silver in circulating half-dollars, reflects changing economic realities, and carries the legacy of a beloved president. These layers of meaning give the coin lasting appeal that goes far beyond its metal content. If you have old half-dollars tucked away in drawers, boxes, or albums, it is well worth taking a closer look. Check the date, look for the small D mint mark, and examine the coin carefully under good lighting. Even if it appears ordinary, it could hide a valuable error or variety that transforms it into a true treasure. The 1971 Kennedy half-dollar with a D mint mark in fine condition is more than spare change. It is a piece of American history, a symbol of change, and a reminder that incredible value can sometimes be hiding in plain sight. For collectors and treasure hunters alike, that possibility is what makes coin collecting so exciting. Next up is the 1973 Kennedy half-dollar with a D mint mark in circulated condition, a coin that carries a quiet but significant place in American numismatic history. At first glance, it may seem like just another half-dollar that passed through countless hands during the early 1970s, but this coin represents a period of change and adaptation in U.S. coinage, and it holds a special appeal for collectors who understand its story. The 1973 issue was part of the continuing Kennedy half-dollar series, which began in 1964 as a tribute to President John F. Kennedy following his assassination. From the very beginning, the Kennedy half-dollar became more than just a coin. It became a symbol of remembrance and respect, cherished by millions of Americans. By 1973, the series was well established, familiar, and recognized across the nation, and the coins had become a regular part of everyday commerce, appearing in registers, banks, and household collections alike. This particular example was minted at the Denver Mint, as indicated by the D mint mark located just below Kennedy's neck on the obverse of the coin. Denver was one of the largest producers of half-dollars during this period, striking millions of coins to meet the nation's circulating needs. Unlike earlier silver issues, the 1973 Kennedy half-dollar was made entirely of copper nickel clad, reflecting a continued shift away from silver in response to rising metal prices. While this change meant the coin no longer contained precious metal, it did not diminish its appeal, both historically and for collectors, because it marked the ongoing legacy of the Kennedy series and reflected the realities of the American economy at the time. In circulated condition, a 1973 D Kennedy half-dollar shows the natural wear and patina that comes from decades of use. The coin's surfaces have been touched, handled, and passed from hand to hand, giving it a unique character that collectors often value. While the highest points of Kennedy's hair and facial features may show some smoothing, the portrait remains recognizable, and the inscriptions, including "Liberty" and "In God We Trust," are still readable. On the reverse, the familiar presidential seal continues to display the eagle with outstretched wings, arrows, and olive branch. Even in circulated condition, the seal retains its shape and most of its detail, offering collectors a tangible connection to the artistry and symbolism of the original design. The coin tells a story of use, survival, and history, showing that it has been a small but consistent part of American daily life for nearly 5 decades. The 1973 D Kennedy half-dollar is particularly interesting to collectors because it represents a midpoint in the Kennedy series when copper-nickel-clad composition had become standard, yet these coins were still widely circulated and saved in large numbers. Many collectors today search specifically for coins from this period to complete date and mint mark sets. Even though the series is not rare in general, individual coins can still hold significant value, especially if they display strong detail, good eye appeal, or any unusual characteristics that set them apart from the thousands of other circulated examples. Despite being a circulated coin, a 1973 D Kennedy half-dollar has notable potential for higher value, particularly in the market for modern U.S. coin collectors. While many examples sell for just a few dollars above face value, coins in better than average circulated condition, especially those with attractive toning or eye appeal, can command prices ranging from $10,000 to $15,000 or more. However, the real collector interest grows when rare varieties, minting anomalies, or historical context come into play. Some 1973 D Kennedy half dollars may display minor doubling, die cracks, or planchet variations. When these errors are verified, the coin's auction prices can rise dramatically, sometimes reaching hundreds or even thousands of dollars. The combination of historical significance, condition, and potential rarity creates a unique environment where even a circulated coin can achieve impressive market performance. Another important factor that adds value is provenance. Coins that have been part of known collections or auctioned in the past tend to attract more attention from collectors, increasing competition and driving up prices. This is especially true for coins that have been well documented and authenticated by professional grading services. For serious collectors, having a certified 1973 D Kennedy half dollar in circulated condition offers not only a tangible piece of history but also the security of knowing its authenticity and market legitimacy. The story behind the Kennedy half dollar series also contributes to its enduring appeal. Introduced in 1964, the coin honored the memory of a beloved president, and each year's issue reflects a continuing legacy. By 1973, the United States had undergone significant social, political, and economic changes, and coins from this era provide a subtle window into that time. Collectors are drawn to these pieces not only for their monetary value but also for their ability to connect people to history. A 1973 D Kennedy half dollar circulated for everyday transactions carries a story of everyday Americans using, saving, and passing on these coins, making it more than just currency. It becomes a part of the collective memory of the country. Even within circulated examples, eye appeal is a critical consideration. Coins with a natural, even color, minimal scratches, and well-defined features are often valued more highly than those with heavy damage, corrosion, or unattractive surfaces. A 1973 D Kennedy half dollar in fine to very fine circulated condition may display a light golden brown patina or soft silver gray tones, enhancing its visual appeal and making it more desirable to collectors. These subtle characteristics can influence value significantly, especially when selling through auctions or to experienced collectors who appreciate the nuances of circulated coins. The coin also serves as a reminder that the value of U.S. coins is not solely tied to metal content. Unlike earlier silver issues, the 1973 Kennedy half dollar contains no precious metal, yet it still holds substantial collector interest. Its worth is derived from rarity, condition, historical context, and demand, rather than intrinsic metal value. This makes the coin an excellent example for modern collectors who are building date and mint mark sets, studying the evolution of American coinage, or searching for potential investment pieces. In the auction market, high-quality circulated examples of the 1973 D Kennedy half dollar can sell for significantly more than face value, particularly when buyers recognize the coin's historical importance and potential rarity. Auction results have shown that well-preserved circulated coins can reach anywhere from $20,000 to $32,000, and when minor minting anomalies are present, values can escalate into the thousands. Coins that combine strong detail, attractive color, and verified authenticity have even reached five-figure sums in rare cases, reflecting the growing interest in modern U.S. numismatics and the increasing number of collectors seeking out iconic Kennedy half dollars from every era. Collectors are also drawn to these coins for the tangible connection they provide to history. The Kennedy half dollar captures the legacy of a president who continues to inspire Americans decades after his passing. Each coin from the series, including the 1973 D, tells a small part of that story. Circulated coins carry the extra layer of history because they have physically passed through many hands, survived daily use, and endured environmental conditions over decades. This makes each example unique, with its own story written into the surface and wear patterns. For those interested in expanding a Kennedy half dollar collection, the 1973 D is a crucial date. It represents the third year of the copper-nickel-clad era, a time when the half dollar was still widely used but no longer contained silver. Collectors who focus on complete sets, historical context, or coins from each mint enjoy the challenge of finding well-preserved examples from this period. Searching through rolls, old collections, or estate finds can sometimes uncover a coin in surprisingly good condition, revealing details that casual observers may overlook. In conclusion, the 1973 Kennedy half dollar with a D mint mark in circulated condition is more than just a coin. It is a bridge to American history, a collectible with potential for solid market value, and a tangible connection to a time when half dollars were a part of daily life. Even though it lacks the silver content of earlier issues, its historical significance, combined with potential rarity, strong detail, and attractive toning, gives it lasting appeal. Collectors and investors alike recognize the importance of such coins, and with proper examination, authentication, and care, this seemingly ordinary circulated half-dollar could become a highly sought-after piece that holds both historical and financial value for decades to come. The 1973 D. Kennedy half-dollar is a reminder that even coins from everyday circulation can carry hidden stories and surprising worth, making them a rewarding addition to any collection.